Hello again, so happy you could be with us. We are reading from the Complete Jewish Bible, which is a translation of the Hebrew Bible. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 9, Shema. Hear, Israel, Adonai our God, Adonai is one, and you're to love Adonai your God with all your heart, all your being, and all your resources. These words, which I am ordering you today, are to be on your heart, and you're to teach them carefully to your children. You're to talk about them when you sit at home, when you're traveling on the road, when you lie down, when you get up. Tie them on your hand as a sign. Put them at the front of a headband around your forehead and write them on the doorframes of your house and on your gates. Matthew chapter 9, verses 9 through 14, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us the food we need today. Forgive us what we have done wrong, as we too have forgiven those who have wronged us. And do not lead us into hard testing, but keep us safe from the evil one. For kingship, power, and glory are yours forever. Amen. So we are on Exodus chapter 20. Then God said all these words. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the abode of slavery. You are to have no other gods before me. You are not to make for yourselves a carved image or any kind of representation of anything in heaven above, on the earth beneath, or in the water below the shoreline. You are not to bow down to them or serve them, for I, Adonai, your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sins of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, but displaying grace to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and obey my mitzvahs. You are not to use lightly the name of Adonai, your God, because Adonai will not leave unpunished someone who uses his name lightly. Remember the day, Shabbat, to set it apart for God. You have 6 days to labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Shabbat for Adonai your God. On it, you are not to do any kind of work, not you, your son or your daughter, not your male or female slave, not your livestock, and not the foreigner staying with you inside the gates of your property. For in the 6 days Adonai made heaven and earth, the sea and everything in them, but on the 7th day he rested. This is why Adonai blessed the day Shabbat and separated it for himself. Honor your father and mother, so that you may live in the land which Adonai your God is giving you. Do not murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not give false evidence against your neighbor. Do not covet your neighbor's house, do not covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female slave, his ox, his donkey, or anything that belongs to your neighbor. All the people experienced the thunder, the lightning, the sound of the shofar, and the mountain smoking. When the people saw it, they trembled. Standing at a distance, they said to Moshe, You speak with us, and we will listen, but do not let God speak with us, or we will die. Moshe answered the people, Do not be afraid, because God has come only to test you and make you fear him, so that you will not commit sins. So the people stood at a distance, but Moshe approached the thick darkness where God was. Adonai said to Moshe, Here is what you're to say to the people of Israel. You yourselves have seen that I spoke with you from heaven. You are not to make with me gods of silver, nor are you to make gods of gold for yourselves. For me, you need make only an altar of earth. On it you will sacrifice your burnt offerings, peace offerings, sheep, goats and cattle. In every place where I cause my name to be mentioned, I will come to you and bless you. If you do not make me an altar of stone, you are not to build it of cut stone. If you do make me an altar of stone, you are not to build it of cut stone. For if you use a tool on it, you profane it. Likewise, you are not to use steps to go up to my altar, so that you will not be indecently uncovered. And now we are going to 1 Samuel chapter 25. Shemuel died. All of Israel assembled to mourn him and bury him at his home in Ramah. Then David set out and went down to the Paran desert. Now there was a man in Maon who had property in Carmel. He was very rich, having 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. Excuse me. And he was shearing his sheep in Carmel. The man's name was Nabal, and his wife was named Abigail. The woman was intelligent and attractive, but the man was surely and mean in his actions. He belonged to the clan of Caleb. David, there in the desert, heard that Nabal was shearing his sheep. David sent off 10 young men, with these orders: Go up to Nabal in Carmel and bring him greetings from me. Say long life and shalom to you, shalom to your household, and shalom to everything that is yours. I have heard that you now have shearers. Your shepherds were with us for a while. We did them no harm, and they found nothing missing all the time they were in Carmel. Ask your own men, they will tell you. Therefore receive my men favorably, since we have come on a festive day. Please give what you can to your servants and to your son David. On arrival, David's men said all these things to Nabal in David's name. When they had finished, Nabal answered David's servants, Who is David? Who is the son of Yishai? There are many servants nowadays running away from their masters. I am supposed to take my bread, my water, and my meat that I slaughter for my shearers and give it to men coming from who knows where? So David's men turned around, went back, and came and told him everything Nabal had said. David said to his men, Buckle your swords. Buckle your swords on, all of you. Each one buckled his sword. David too. And there went up after David about 400 men, while 200 stayed with the equipment. But one of Nabal's men told Abigail, his wife, David sent messengers from the desert to greet our master, and he flew on them in a rage. Even though the men had been very good to us, they did not harm us, and we found nothing missing during the entire time we went with them. While we were out in the countryside, they served as a wall, protecting us day and night, all the time we were with them caring for the sheep. So now decide what you're going to do, for clearly harm is on its way to our master and all his household. But he's so mean that no one can tell him. Abigail wasted no time in taking 200 loaves of bread, 2 skins of wine, 5 sheep already prepared, 6 quarts of roasted grain, 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 fig cakes, and having them loaded on donkeys. Then she said to her young men, Go on ahead of me, and I will come along after you. But she did not tell her husband Nabal. She was riding her donkey down past the hiding place in the mountain when David and his men descended toward her, and she met them. David had said, What a waste it has been guarding everything this fellow has in the desert, so that nothing of his was missing. He has repaid me bad for good. Then he swore, May God do the same and more to David's enemies if I leave alive even one male of everything he owns. When Abigail saw David, she hurried to dismount from her donkeys, fell on her face in front of David, and bowed down to the ground. Having fallen At his feet she said, "It is all my fault, my Lord, all my fault. Please let your servant speak in your ears and listen to what your servant says. Please, my Lord should not pay any attention to this worthless fellow Nabal, because he is just like his name. Nabal means boor, and his boorishness stays with him. But I, your servant, did not see my Lord's men whom you sent. Therefore, my Lord, as Adonai lives and as you live, inasmuch as Adonai has kept you from the guilt of shedding blood and from taking vengeance into your hands, therefore may your enemies and anyone seeking your harm be as worthless as Nabal. Meanwhile, let this present which your servant has brought to my Lord be given to the men in my Lord's service. And please forgive the offense your servant has caused, because Adonai will certainly establish my Lord's dynasty. For my Lord fights Adonai's battles, and nothing bad has been found in all your life long. Even if someone comes along searching for you and seeking your life will be bound in the bundle of life with Adonai your God. But the lives of your enemies he will fling away as if from the pouch of a slingshot. Then, when Adonai has done all the good to my Lord that he has said about you and made you ruler over Israel, what happens here will not have become an obstacle to you or a cause for remorse to my Lord. Neither that you shed blood without cause, nor that my Lord took vengeance into his own hands. Finally, when Adonai has dealt well with my Lord, then remember your servant." David said to Abigail, "Blessed be Adonai, the God of Israel, who sent you today to meet me. And blessed be your tactfulness, and blessed be yourself for having kept me today from the guilt of shedding blood and taking vengeance into my own hands. For as Adonai, the God of Israel, lives, who has kept me from harming you, if you had not rushed to meet me, not even one meal would have been left to Nabal by morning." So David received from her what she had brought him, then said to her, "Go up in peace to your home. I have listened to what you have said and granted your request." Abigail came to Nabal. There he was in his house holding a feast fit for a king. He was in high spirits because he was very drunk, so she told him nothing whatever until the next morning. In the morning, when he was sober and his wife told him what had happened, he had a stroke and became as motionless as a stone. Some 10 days later, Adonai struck Nabal and he died. When David heard that Nabal was dead, he said, "Blessed be Adonai for having taken my side in this matter of Nabal's insult and for having prevented his servant from doing anything bad. On the contrary, Adonai has caused Nabal's bad deeds to return on his own head." Then David sent a message that he wanted to make Abigail his own wife. When David's servant reached Abigail in Carmel, they said to her, "David has sent us to you to bring you to him to be his wife." She got up, bowed with her face to the ground, and said, "Your servant is here to serve you, to wash the feet of my Lord's servants." Abigail then hurried, set out, and rode off on a donkey with five of her female servants following her. She went after David's messengers, and she became his wife. David also took Achinoam of Jezreel. Both of them became his wives. Meanwhile, Shaul had given Michal his daughter, David's wife, to Palti, the son of Laish, who came from Galim. And now we're going to Psalms. We are up to Psalm 70 by David. God, rescue me. Adonai, hurry and help me. May those who seek my life be disgraced and humiliated. May those who take pleasure in doing me harm be turned back and put to confusion. May those who jeer, "Aha, aha," withdraw because of their shame. But may all those who seek you be glad and take joy in you. May those who love your salvation say always, God is great and glorious. But I am poor and needy. God, hurry for me. You are my helper and rescuer. Adonai, do not delay. John chapter 2. On Tuesday, there was a wedding at Cana in the Galilee, and the mother of Jeshua was there. Jeshua too was invited to the wedding along with his talmidim. The wine ran out, and Jeshua's mother said to him, "They have no more wine." Jeshua replied, "Mother, why should that concern me or you? My time has not come yet." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now 6 stone water jars were standing there for the Jewish ceremonial washings, each with a capacity of 20 or 30 gallons. Jeshua told them, "Fill the jars with water," and then filled them to the brim. He said, "Now draw some out and take it to the men in charge of the banquet." And they took it. The man in charge tasted the water. It had now turned into wine. He did not know where it had come from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew. So he called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone else serves the good wine first, and the poorer wine after people have drunk freely. But you have kept the good wine until now. This wine, the first of Jeshua's miraculous signs he did at Cana in the Galilee. He manifested his glory, and his talmidim came to trust in him." Afterwards he, his mother and brothers, and his talmidim went down to Capernaum and stayed there for a few days. It was almost time for the festival of Pesach in Judah. So Jeshua went up to Jerusalem, and in the temple grounds he found those who were selling cattle, sheep, and pigeons, and others who were sitting at the tables exchanging money. He made a whip from cords and drove them all out of the temple grounds, the sheep and cattle as well. He knocked over money changers' tables, scattering their coins. And to the pigeon sellers he said, "Get these things out of here. How dare you turn my father's house into a market?" His talmidim later recalled that the Tanakh says, "Zeal for your house will devour me." So the Judeans confronted him by asking him, "What miraculous sign can you show us to prove you have the right to do all this?" Yeshua answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again." The Judeans said, "It took 46 years to build this temple, and you're going to raise it in 3 days." But the temple he had spoken of was his body. Therefore, when he was raised from the dead, his talmidim remembered that he had said this, and they trusted in the Tanakh and in what Jeshua had said. Now, while Jeshua was in Jerusalem at the Pesach festival, there were many who believed in his name when they saw the miracles he performed, but he did not commit himself to them, for he knew what people are like. That is, he did not need anyone to inform him about a person because he knew what was in the person's heart. Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. The Aaronic blessing. May Adonai bless you and keep you. May Adonai make his face shine upon you and show you his favor. May Adonai lift up his countenance toward you and grant you his shalom. Thank you so much again for joining us. Until next time, shalom.